Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the 2022 Foster School of Business graduation celebration. Please take a moment to silence all electronic devices. To begin, the University of Washington and Foster School of Business acknowledges the Coast Salish peoples of this land, the land which touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, Muckleshoot, and Duwamish nations. And now, please rise to recognize the Foster School of Business faculty and the graduating class of 2022, 2021, and 2020.
Wow. So that's what the next generation of business leaders looks like. Graduates, parents, family and friends, fellow faculty and staff colleagues, Scott Svensson, Dean Hodge, good afternoon and welcome. Please be seated. I am Steve Sefcik, Professor of Accounting and Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs here at the Foster School. And it is my genuine pleasure to be here with all of you this afternoon at this extremely special gathering that we're holding in person for the... I echo that. I hear you. In person for the first time after 3 years. Thank you all for coming to this great event. I know all of you in attendance today are extremely proud of the graduate that you are here to support. And what a road it has been to get here. Today we are celebrating the incredible accomplishments of not only the class of 2022, but we've also welcomed back the graduates from the classes of 2020 and 2021 that wanted to participate in today's ceremony. As I look out across this impressive group, I think about the investment we have made in you. This investment has many stakeholders: your family and friends, your mentors, your advisors, your classmates, your colleagues, of course your professors, and perhaps most importantly, you. Yes, you. Yes, you have invested in you. You have invested in your education. You have spent countless hours going to class, studying in the library, working on group projects, taking exams, writing term papers. You have participated in case competitions. In fact, some of you just last week in Management 430. You have attended numerous Foster events, both in person and virtually. You have worked on student consulting teams, and you've participated in career services activities. You have helped build and served as leaders in Foster student clubs and organizations. You have studied abroad. You have navigated a global pandemic, attending classes on Zoom, and then transitioning back to in-person learning. Yes, you have made a substantive investment in you. You have made a significant and now a long-term investment in your education and your future career. And like all investments, it's time for us to think about return. After all, this is a business school. Come on now. What sort of return on investment will we earn on you? More importantly, what will your ultimate ROI be, and how will you generate it? What sort of dividends can we expect? Look, I go off point. To be clear here, this is not about debt service. This is not about payback. Follow me here. That's the wrong direction. This is about you paying it forward. Yes, forward. Forgive me for all those mixed metaphors. It's a part of the trade, right? But I'm not talking about writing a check. Let's be clear about that, okay? I'm talking about you helping build our brand. I'm talking about helping make Foster the very best public business school in the United States. I'm talking about you building your own investment. I'm talking about finding a way to help the students who come after you. So how? How then? Well, come back and share your experiences with a class. Serve as a mentor for one of our clubs. judge a case competition, help us place a student in an internship position at your firm, serve as a business expert in a social cause or a charitable organization that you believe in. Bottom line, share your expertise. That's what we want from you. These are the type of activities that compound your investment. These are the returns, in fact, that we expect. This is how you pay it forward. So what are your future goals? What can we expect from you? The Foster School of Business creates futures and transforms lives. We are committed to educating and guiding talented minds towards successful outcomes. Success is evidenced by our employment statistics, by our long-standing partnership with iconic Northwest companies, and by advancement of business as a force of good. Yes, the so-called nobility of business. But again, I ask, what are your goals? Where will you take this incredible education you have received? How will each of you pay it forward? This, then, is your real challenge. Will you accept it? I believe so. I truly believe so. I sincerely believe that each of the 782 undergraduates that make up the class of 2022 will be up for that challenge. These graduates are strategic thinkers who know how to roll up their sleeves and take on real-world business challenges. These graduates are passionate about making a difference. Yes, I am absolutely certain they will leverage their phenomenal college experience to ensure extraordinary future success and impact. Yes, I am confident that each of these undergraduates has the dedication, the skills, the commitment, and the honor to pay it forward. And with that, it's time to move on with our program. It is now my pleasure to welcome a friend, a colleague, and a fellow accountant to the podium, the Dean of the Michael G. Foster School of Business, Frank Hodge. Frank has been the Dean of the Foster School since 2019. What a first year, huh? In his first year, he masterfully handled transitioning our school to an entirely virtual learning environment. Since becoming dean, he has maintained his vision of better together, better tomorrow, regardless of the circumstances or challenges he's faced. He sincerely lives out that motto and continues to build an incredible community here at the Foster School so that we can not only look forward to, but ensure a better tomorrow. Please join me in a warm welcome for Dean Frank Hodge.
Thank you, Steve, and good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. On behalf of the faculty and guests behind me and the Foster staff that are amongst us, welcome to our 2022 graduation celebration. I want to share with you two observations from recent travels as we begin this celebration. The first comes from my travels where I review other top business schools around the United States. From those travels, I can assure you that the fundamental business skills that you've obtained while you're at the Foster School of Business are second to none. They're as good as any other business school in the world, bar none. I can also assure you they are not enough. What you need to be the truly exceptional leaders that you are poised to become are some additional attributes, attributes that are hard to measure, attributes that are hard to teach. I'm talking about things like leading with kindness, empathy, inclusivity, humility, and courage. These are things that I call leadership amplifiers. To be the truly exceptional leaders that you are poised to become, you will need to practice them on a daily basis. They're like a sports skill. You cannot expect to use them unless you practice them. So please, practice them and become the exceptional leaders that you're poised to become. The second observation comes from the donors that I get to visit with when I travel. I visit with donors and alumni that graduated from the Foster School from 2 years to 70 years ago. And I can assure you that as time goes by, more and more of my conversations with those alums focus on the community that they built while they were here and the community that they maintained after they left. You will soon join 60,000 Foster alumni that are living around the world, 500,000 University of Washington graduates that are living around the world. Those communities are open and inviting you to be a part. Those are the communities that we'll stay connected through. And it's through those connections that we'll be able to be better together, better tomorrow. Congratulations, graduates. I'm looking forward to celebrating with you today.
Thank you very much, Dean Hodge. It is now my pleasure to introduce our student speaker for today's ceremony, Andrew Lee. Andrew, please come forward. Let me give you just a few highlights on Andrew. Andrew is a double major in finance and information systems. He's been a member and co-chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of the UW Finance Association. He and his team were finalists for the capstone case competition that many of you are familiar with, Management 430. In addition, I want to take a moment here to share how Andrew's student colleagues describe him. One student wrote us, "Andrew is such a great representation and role model for many business students at Foster. He is always eager to make a positive impact, to network and get to know people, and has a strong desire to be successful." Another said, "Andrew is highly involved in the Foster community through his classes and clubs, and he cares strongly about diversity and inclusion. He balances ambition with respect and support for everyone he meets." And another classmate wrote, "Andrew is a dedicated, hardworking, and an effective communicator in whatever he does. He has demonstrated professionalism and public speaking skills from the case competition presentations, along with being able clearly to tell a story that people can understand and relate to." Lastly, and perhaps, at least in my opinion, most importantly, multiple students described Andrew as a good friend. High praise indeed. Like many of you, Andrew is in the process of looking for a job. Good. I'm a dad, I get to say that, and hopes to get an offer soon. Please join me in a warm welcome for Foster 22's graduating class student speaker, Andrew Lee. Knock it out of the park, that lady.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. Great. You know, just 5 years ago, the extent to which I will celebrate the end of a school year is just by writing HAGs or Have a Great Summer in everybody's yearbooks. And to be standing here speaking before everybody is such an honor and privilege. And I truly thank every single one of you here for the opportunity. And before I begin, I want to acknowledge the Coast Salish people, the indigenous people of the land on where this university sits and where we are right now. To the students who are graduating today or have graduated, look at how far we have come. Today is a celebration of our accomplishments during our time in college. And as we think back on our college education, I'm sure that we all have some Foster memories to cherish, right? For me, it's the feeling of peace when I study on Hogan Terrace on a sunny spring day, or the feeling of exhilaration when I ace a group presentation with a randomly assigned group, or the feeling of panic as I watch Todd Bergstrom reach into his backpack and pull a stack of pop quizzes, and I haven't read the textbook in the past 2 weeks. While it is good to reminisce about your time at Foster, it's also important to remember that the college experience is a privilege that few in the world gets to enjoy. Many things had to go right, and many people had to invest in our successes. My parents grew up in Taiwan under martial law and relatively poor economic conditions. My father had 3 older siblings, and his father passed away at age 49 due to a heart attack. After that, my grandmother had to raise her 4 children alone at a time when there was a social stigma against single-parent families and especially single-mother families. To my parents, a fried egg in their school lunch was considered an expensive and rare luxury. And to me, I had a 5-egg omelet for breakfast this morning. That breakfast and where I am right now would not be possible without the years of sacrifices, and I'm deeply, deeply appreciative of that. In face of all the hardship, my parents were able to apply for green cards, and we moved to the US in 2008. I did not speak English, so I had no idea what was going on in school every day. But I eventually learned to adapt to the culture and the language and maintain relatively healthy grades throughout primary school. And that's my story while growing up. You might think it's a unique story or an inspirational story, but the truth is that everybody here today probably has a story like that. Stories about growth, about overcoming challenges, about adapting to new environments. And I can't represent the voice of every single individual in the student body here today. So I did what people my age would do, and I went online. And I surveyed some of my Foster peers and friends about how they felt about graduation. I feel blank. And here's some of the most common responses. I feel happy. I feel excited. I feel grateful. I feel bittersweet. I feel scared. I feel lost. I feel anxious. I share these particular responses because I feel them too, all of them. There's a lot of mixed feelings that comes with times of big transitions, and I say that from personal experience. My mental health started to decline towards the end of high school. The uncertainty of a foreign language was replaced by the uncertainty of growing up. The idea of college, moving out, career exploration, and more made the world seem so overwhelming and big. I started to feel anxiety and experience frequent panic attacks due to all the uncertainties I was facing about moving on to the next phase of my life. And perhaps as an avenue of coping, I started to try to discover new music. And my buddy Grant introduced me to an artist called Kendrick Lamar. And I would listen to his music on my morning school bus rides. And one of his lyrics popped out to me. America is a reflection of me. That's what a mirror does. To me, the lyric meant that my community is defined by who I am today. Wait, does that mean I, the 18-year-old kid who goes straight from school to couch to take a nap or watch the CW or play on my PlayStation represents my own community? If that's the case, things are not looking good. It's an interesting line and it's a thought-provoking line, but it's not a line that alleviated any of my anxieties. And as you graduate, the world gets even bigger. And with that comes bigger uncertainties. Uncertainties about moving far from home again, about imposter syndrome, about personal finances. But there's also some positive uncertainties, right? Like how many new people are you going to meet in this new big world? Or how much you're going to learn in graduate school? Or how much you're going to crush the next new job of yours? It's pretty exciting, right? My therapist told me that anxiety is not meant to be an affliction, but an evolutionary tool designed to help us react to uncertainties, like a saber-toothed tiger sneaking up upon us, a close, immediate, and personal threat. But it's the year 2022, and saber-toothed tigers no longer exist, right? Well, to the extent of my knowledge. And the things we face today seem to be much more existential. How can we react to things we can't control, like the past? What if I worded that joke better? What if I paid more attention in class? What if I got to know that one cool professor more by attending their office hours? What if I talked to that one person who I thought was cool and smart and made friends with them and worked on group projects with them, and then all the thoughts just avalanches in your head? And then there's also issues that's just too big for the individual, right? Climate change, the Ukraine invasion, gun violence, major court decisions and legislations, and on top of all that, an ongoing pandemic with over 1 million deaths in the United States alone. The world is big, maybe too big. Recently, I went back to the lyrics I heard in high school. America is a reflection of me. That's what a mirror does. What if the lyric actually means that I am what my community is today? The world seems so chaotic, and I've internalized all these negativities into my head. During the past year, my anxiety got especially worse. I was facing the same issues I was facing as a high school senior all over again, except that this time, my feelings were amplified by the world. As my world got bigger, my anxieties got worse. Last winter quarter, I had to miss many days of school due to a depressive episode. I barely had the energy to even get out of bed, and when I tried to talk, my eyes just filled with water. Fortunately, I was able to get better after many of my friends and teammates checked in on me. And the kindness of my peers reminded me of an act of kindness that I experienced many years ago. It was the summer of 2016 in tropical Taiwan. It's hot and humid, and everybody, including me, wore shorts and sandals. So one day, I exited the subway while enjoying my sweet summer vacation, and I found myself in the middle of a thunderstorm. So naturally, I was not looking forward to walking home in the rain. But then suddenly, I felt someone walk up behind me and reach their arm out. Turns out the man wanted to share his umbrella with me. And we shared that umbrella until we had to part ways at an intersection. Now, throughout this entire exchange, we barely shared a single word. I never saw that man again, and I have no idea who he was. But a simple umbrella made my day, and that simple umbrella lingered on in my head for 6 years. Like that lyric, I long wondered why that story stayed in my head for so long. However, as I write this speech and I thought back on the story and the lyrics in conjunction, I might have made sense of both. America is a reflection of me. That's what a mirror does. I realize that the lyric isn't referring to the present moment, but about what we can do in the future to make our communities better. It's not about who you are today or what our world is like now, but about who you will be in the future. When we look into the mirrors of our community, we see many flaws that may seem overwhelming and inescapable. But we can also find many, many beauties that can teach us how to be better people in the future. I have no idea what that man's mood was before he shared the umbrella with me, but I have no doubt that his simple act of altruism made both of our days so much better afterwards. While the world is very chaotic right now, we need to do all we can to make tomorrow the best it can be. While big changes can be overwhelming, the crucial moment in life is when we open our eyes and look into that mirror. The instantaneous moment as we see ourselves in the mirror, because that's when change happens. That's when we decide to act. As graduates of the business school, we have the power to positively influence one of the most powerful institutional pillars in this country, business. But in order to do that, we can't just maximize shareholder value, no. We have to support the communities that we care about. We have to stand true to the values we hold, and most importantly, we have to be responsible future leaders. It may seem like a tall order, but I know every single one of you here can do it because you have been doing it for me for the past 4 years. By helping me with academics, by providing me with an ear to vent to, by correcting me on my mistakes, and by supporting me in times of need. You have done it for me, and I believe you have the potential to do it for many, many others in the years to come. Something as small as sharing an umbrella or texting your friend, "How are you doing?" can feel like a drop in the ocean. But a drop makes ripples, and with all of our ripples, we can make waves. Since I ended high school with a Kendrick quote, let's also end college with a Kendrick quote. And here it is. There's beauty in completion and always faith in the unknown. Be okay with where you are today and celebrate how you got here, but most importantly, trust that tomorrow can be a better day because you will do your best to make it better. And if you're okay with where you are, then you should also be content with how you got here. But after all this talk, I still haven't talked about the what ifs, right? What if I read the textbook more in Ace Tots Pop Quizzes? What if I never joined the Foster School of Business? What if I never came to the University of Washington? What if I never even came to the United States? Man, I guess we'll never know. Before I end this speech, I just wanted to say that if my personal story resonated with you in any way, that you are not broken and you are not alone. And lastly, I want our graduating classes to thank everybody, our peers, our staff, our faculty, our family and friends who came here to support us and celebrate with us today, as well as those who are unfortunately unable to come today, like my family and my girlfriend who are currently quarantining due to COVID. Congratulations to the class of 2020, 2021, and 2022, and I wish everybody here the very, very best. And lastly, everybody, please have a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I now have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Scott Svensson, who we are lucky to have serving on the Foster Schools Advisory Board. Scott and his wife, Allie, are the co-founders of Mod Pizza, and Scott currently serves as the company's CEO. While I'm here to introduce Scott, I can't truly introduce him without including Allie in my comments, as they are a team that I find inspirational, and I think you will too after you hear their story. The quick personal and business history is this. Scott and Allie are graduates of Bellevue High School, where they first met. They both went to college in Boston, with Scott graduating from Harvard and Allie from Wesley College. From there, they moved to London, where they were married. While starting their family, they also started their careers as entrepreneurs by opening cafes in London called Seattle Coffee Company. It grew to 68 locations by 1998, and they sold it to who else but Starbucks. Soon after, they moved back to Bellevue to raise their family and eventually found Mod Pizza in 2008. It is the pioneer of the fast casual pizza category and is one of the fastest growing restaurant brands in North America, with over 500 stores across 29 states and Canada. While this is a remarkable success story, and I could just stop here, this is not at the core of why I asked Scott to share his experiences and wisdom with us today. Scott is here today because the story of Mod Pizza is an excellent example of what it means to be a purpose-driven company led by purpose-driven leaders. Allie told Scott when they were thinking of starting Mod, the last thing the world needs is another pizza chain. If we're going to do this, it has to have more meaning. While Scott serves as CEO, Allie serves as Mod's protector of the purpose. They set out to create a successful business, to be sure, but they also set out to impact people's lives, both the people who work at Mod and the people who live in the communities that they serve. Employees at Mod are known as the Mod Squad, and Mod actively recruits people in their communities who are often overlooked or face barriers to employment. Individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities, youth who are not in school and not employed, or those who have struggled with homelessness, addiction, or even our criminal system. They believe in second chances and giving everyone an equal opportunity to succeed. In addition, they consistently look for ways to impact the communities in which Mod serves. A recent example is called the Mod Value Meal, where they donate 50 cents of every value meal purchased to Best Buddies, a nonprofit dedicated to creating opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In short, Scott, Allie, and the rest of the Mod Squad are a wonderful example of bettering humanity through business, which is at the core of the Foster School's purpose. Please join me in a warm welcome for Scott Stenson.
Dean Hodge, thank you so much for the very, very kind introduction. And thanks to you and the amazing faculty and staff of the Foster School for inviting me and my family to be a part of this incredible celebration. And to the stars of the show, the Foster School graduates, congratulations. Getting into the Foster School is hard, and graduating from a top business school is never easy. You throw in the grit and resilience required to manage through a pandemic. Wow, what a journey. You guys should all be incredibly proud. And how cool is it that we're all here today after the last few years? It is such an honor to be able to be here to speak to you today. When Dean Hodge invited me to speak, I thought, what in the world do I have to offer this incredible group of graduates? So I did what I normally do when I'm lost, and I turned to my wife, Allie, for advice. Allie and I are incredibly lucky to have 4 boys, actually 4 young men, between the ages of 18 and 25. Tristan, Dylan, Caspian, and Jasper, 3 of whom are sitting right over here today. One of them, Caspian, actually turned 21 yesterday. And yes, he made it here today on time. Just barely. Allie's advice to me was to share with you what I would want them to hear. So that's what I'm going to do. Allie regularly quotes from the poet Mary Oliver. In her instructions for living a life, she advises to pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. As we have gotten older, we have gotten better at paying attention. And so much has astonished us. So today, I plan to tell about it, to share some of the highlights from our journey and the lessons we have learned along the way. I graduated from college in 1988, 34 years ago. It was 2 years after the first Top Gun movie was released. The internet wouldn't be widely available for another 3 to 4 years, and smartphones, another 10 years. Can you imagine a world without the internet and smartphones? Total game changers. It's interesting to think about what innovations, what game changers will emerge that will transform your lives. When I graduated, I had 2 thoughts. One, like a lot of young people, I thought I would live forever. And 2, how the hell am I going to repay my student loans? So I chose to move to New York City and take a job on Wall Street. They paid me enough to repay my loans and provided me with a much-needed education in business. After a few years, I was asked to move to London, which turned into an 11-year, life-changing adventure. The first thing I did after landing in London was go to work convincing Allie, my best friend and high school sweetheart, to join me. Sitting here today, that easily rates as the best decision I've made since I graduated. Once Allie arrived, she immediately went to work identifying all the things that London was missing. At the top of the list was a Starbucks-style coffee experience. You see, Allie and I were raised on Starbucks. When we arrived in London, the overall standard of coffee was dire. We both had great jobs and weren't looking to start a company, but there was something about it, like it just had to be done. So we quit our jobs and set about creating an authentic Seattle-style coffee experience. And we called it Seattle Coffee Company. It was a magical 3-year period during which we built 80 stores and became the largest gourmet coffee brand outside of North America. As young entrepreneurs, Allie and I literally put everything we had into the business. We had a simple mantra: failure wasn't an option. We didn't have a safety net, no plan B, so it had to work. That simple declaration became key to our success, as it fundamentally changed how we thought. Regardless of the challenges we faced, and we faced many, we never questioned if we would succeed. To be clear, we failed all the time. We were young and inexperienced and made all types of mistakes. We learned, though, that failing and learning from our mistakes was critical to growing and improving. But failure or giving up simply wasn't an option. We ultimately sold the business to Starbucks and became their entree into Europe and the Middle East. At about this time, I decided to go back to school. For 9 years, I spent 1 week each January at a business executive ed program. One evening, a well-known professor named Clayton Christensen challenged us. He shared his experience watching brilliant students leave business school and become captains of industry. They had it all: wealth, fame, and power. And yet, time and again, as they returned to campus for their reunions, he found far too many of them were deeply unhappy, divorced, estranged from their families, and lonely. How did this happen? They were all smart, capable people, just like you. Not one of them left school with the plan of ending up that way. And yet, a shocking number of them had implemented a strategy for their life that led them there. He observed that instead of investing time to clarify what was truly important to them, they jumped into the game anxious to get ahead. Like most Type A personalities, they had a strong need for achievement, to accomplish things, to get things done. He shared that people who are driven to win the race often have an unconscious bias to overinvest in their work and careers, which provides plenty of opportunity for short-term achievement gratification, but often results in an underinvestment in family and relationships. Tomorrow, you will all wake up, hopefully not too bleary-eyed, as graduates of one of the best business schools in the country. You have spent hundreds of hours learning about business. You understand the importance of mission, vision, strategy. For a company to succeed, it needs to have a plan. So, graduates, my question to you today is the same one that Professor Christensen challenged me with. As the CEO of your life, what is your plan? Too few people put the same time, thought, and discipline into planning their life as they do their business. Without a plan, most blindly adopt what I'll call the default plan. Our culture worships status, power, fame, and fortune, all showcased by the accumulation of stuff. The default assumption is that the acquisition of these things and lots of stuff will make you happy. Unfortunately, for most people, the default plan is a mirage. So if the default plan is not right for you, what is your plan? How will you measure your life? After 11 years living in London, Allie and I moved back to Seattle. At that point, we had put little thought into that question. We were fortunate, though. As we transitioned back to Seattle, life provided us with a pause from the race. We used this time to think deeply about how we would spend the rest of our lives. We asked ourselves, when had we felt most content, joyful, and happy? The answer to that question surprised us. Those feelings were not tied to money or recognition. As a matter of fact, when we reflected on the financial rewards that we had enjoyed, the feeling was surprisingly hollow. Now, don't get me wrong, financial security is super important. But plenty of research has confirmed that beyond a basic level of financial security, there is absolutely no correlation between money and happiness. Instead, for Allie and me, the moments that stood out most revolved around people and the experiences we shared. Personally, the most gratifying memories, professionally, were all connected to when we had made a positive impact in someone else's life. Being of service to others without expecting anything in return had made us happy. And we decided that that was a feeling worth pursuing. At that time, we were also growing increasingly concerned about the health of the world around us, a world with more senseless violence, polarized political debate, and inequality. I wasn't planning on addressing this, but just the news of the last 2 weeks with what's happened in Buffalo, Uvalde, and then last night, Philadelphia, really underlines the fact that the world's actually not working for everybody right now. These two worlds, our search for meaning in our journey and the growing challenges we face in society, collided during the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. It was a crazy time. People literally feared our economic system could collapse. So Allie and I decided that that was a perfect time to start a new restaurant company. A new way of enjoying pizza that we called Mod. So 2 months after Lehman Brothers failed, we opened our first store in downtown Seattle. People seriously questioned our judgment. From the beginning, two beliefs have guided Mod. The first is that everyone deserves an equal opportunity to pursue their hopes and dreams. Unfortunately, the playing field for too many is far from level. The second belief is that companies can and should play a role in leveling the playing field. Our product was pizza, but our purpose was to serve people. In the early years, we didn't know exactly how our purpose of serving people would come to life. And then Allie and I met Corey. We were in the early days of building our business when he applied for a job. He had multiple felonies and had just been released from his third trip to prison. Corey looked the part, stout, muscular, and plenty of tattoos. In the brief periods between his time behind bars, he had found it impossible to get a job. He had made mistakes. He had paid his dues, and upon his release from prison, was hit with a big bill that he couldn't repay because nobody would give him a job. The system was broken, and people like Corey were falling through the cracks. What we learned about Corey, and so many others in his position, is he just needed someone to believe in him, to give him a chance. That's what our team did. At Mod, he finally found a place that accepted him, a place that he felt he belonged. Corey got to gratitude, and he channeled it into incredible performance. We paid attention to Corey, and he truly astonished us. Within a year, he was promoted to general manager of one of our stores. I'll never forget sitting with him and our head of operations as he offered him the new job. This big, tough dude just broke down and started bawling. The first thing Corey wanted to do was to call his grandmother. When she picked up, he blurted out, "Grandma, they believe in me. They trust me." After he finished the call, we told Corey, "We need to talk to you about your compensation. With your new role, you'll be getting a raise." Corey raised his hand to stop us and said, "It doesn't matter. You have given me something that money can't buy. You trust me, and I won't let you down." As we grew, Corey brought in others who had spent time in prison. They flourished as well. This experience helped us clarify how our purpose of serving people would come to life. We embraced a commitment to provide opportunities to those like Corey who face barriers to employment. Today, over 40% of our 10,000 plus squad members are enjoying a fresh start at Mod. Thank you. We have learned so much from them. We have learned that your past may describe you, but it doesn't need to define you. And that judging people based on their past was far less effective than being curious about their potential for the future. Corey is still with Mod, and he is still doing the work of helping us figure out how to successfully balance profit and purpose. It's not easy, and we've had our struggles, especially over the last few years. Frankly, building a restaurant company has never been more challenging than it is right now. But we are more committed than ever to using Mod as a platform to serve people. Other than raising our 4 boys and building a family, Maude has become our life's work. And it is the byproduct of the work we did years ago to clarify what's most important to us, how we will measure our life. People often credit Allie and I with doing something selfless with Maude. I want to let you in on a little secret. Our motivations have been totally selfish. We wanted to be happy, and reflecting on the story of Corey and hundreds of others just like him fill us with a happiness that money simply can't buy. So what's the takeaway? What have I learned over the past 34 years that I wish I understood when I was graduating? A couple of things. First, the most important decision that you will ever make is who you choose to share the journey with. So choose wisely. Find a friend, someone you look up to and respect, who inspires you to be your best. Someone you don't want to let down, for whom you will happily compromise. And then, before you make the commitment to spend your life together, pause and commit that you will do the hard work to make that relationship the most important thing in your life. Second, practice gratitude. People often assume that if they are successful, then they will be happy, which will lead to gratitude. Plenty of research confirms, though, that that is totally backwards. People who start by practicing gratitude are happier, and happier people are found to be more successful. For us, Corey and so many others at Maude are living proof of this. So if you want to be happy and successful, start by practicing gratitude. Third, channel the profound wisdom of the modern-day philosopher, Ted Lasso. And always strive to be curious, not judgmental. As humans, we are literally hardwired to judge. Your subconscious brain is constantly scanning for threats, ready to make snap judgments, fight or flight. So it's natural when somebody does or says something, especially if it occurs as threatening, that we immediately judge. But if we're going to counteract the polarization and division that seems to be growing in our society, if we really want to build a more tolerant and inclusive world, we're going to need to be more curious, to seek to understand others and the journey they are traveling, as opposed to simply judging them. Fourth, the quality of your life, how you experience it, is not a matter of luck. How you feel about your life is a choice. It's a decision you make that you control. You can't control what happens to you, and bad stuff will happen. But one thing no one can take away from you is your ability to control how you respond. And in that decision lies your fate. As Shakespeare famously said, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And finally, when I graduated, I thought I would live forever. I now know I won't. While that realization originally made me sad, reflecting on the reality of death now provides me with incredible motivation. Life is precious, and the time we have together is relatively short, so don't waste it. So my challenge to the graduates is to take time to think deeply about the question, how will you measure your life? Answering this question is not an event. It's not about sitting down for an hour or two and coming up with a specific plan for your life. It's about starting a conversation with yourself that will last a lifetime. A conversation about what is most important to you so that you build your life around those things as opposed to blindly living the default plan. As you consider the question, imagine yourself at the end of your journey, reflecting back on your life. What comes to mind is the most important to you? Listen to that inner voice. There is real truth there. Living an authentic life is largely about aligning your journey with that voice and not defaulting to the crazy voices on the outside that too often influence how we define success. For Allie and me, our plan is still a work in process. We talk about it all the time, and we're still trying to figure it out. We still get distracted. But because we have spent so much time discussing it, we are better today than ever at holding ourselves accountable and getting back on track with what matters most to us. So, again borrowing from the poet Mary Oliver, graduates, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? As you answer this question, please remember that you are part of a broader community, a community that needs you now more than ever. So as part of your journey, please include a commitment to serving others. If you do, I am confident it will make you happy. Congratulations to the graduates. Thanks for having me.
As I emphasized earlier, to truly be the exceptional leaders you're poised to become, you have to practice what I call leadership amplifiers. Having someone call their grandmother and say, "They believe in me," is what happens when you do. Thank you, Scott, for sharing that experience and for those words of wisdom.
Thank you, Scott, for being a part of today's ceremony, and thank you for your inspiring and motivational and purpose-driven philosophy. It's already had an impact on me. I might be an old dog, but I'm not too old to learn, so thank you, Scott. All right, now it's time to start the formal recognition part of our program. Faculty, please take your positions along the ramp if you'd like. I would like to invite each of the graduates to take to the stage so that we may recognize all of you individually. Students, our ushers will welcome you one row at a time to come to the left and right-hand sides of the stage. When your name is called, please process across to the center of the stage. There's a marker where your picture will be taken, and then down the ramp so that our faculty can congratulate you. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the stage Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Programs, Vicki Haig-Day, and Executive Director of Career Services for the Undergraduate and Specialty Master's Programs, Andy Rabatoy. They will read each of the names of today's graduates.
Osman Ahmoud.
Grant Steppe.
Zerbrook Abraham.
Brianna Wu.
Mickey Yoniton.
Fatima Reyes Lugo.
Muhammad Mahamoud.
Maria McCapbeg.
Noyan Zaid.
Hannah Liu.
Adam Abukar.
Elizabeth Bowie.
Jengyun Audrey Yoon.
Hansel Gregorius.
Jessica Hong.
Spiha Kadriwal.
Andrea Hernandez.
Bazard Buza Jomeri.
River Collins.
Tessa Horn.
Ahlam Nur.
Connor Weed.
Peyton Gomez.
Ben Van.
Ryan Mene.
Avery Lee.
Elizabeth Benjamin.
Andrew Lee.
Madeline Seidel.
Winnie Chen.
Kaylee Robles.
Christina Tai.
Daniel Listenby.
Lynn Nguyen.
Tiffany Na.
Natalie Mann.
Kevin Grant.
June Kim.
Grace Lee.
Kelly Lan.
Samantha Bender.
Yibin Tan.
Lauren Lancaster.
Joanna Chen.
Elise Grow.
Thank you. Jillian Lai.
Austin Beck.
Andrew Kim.
Madison Herrera.
Jaden Park.
Sonoma Lull.
Hiro Masa Ano.
Emily Kosak.
Patricia Lee. Hi there.
Carl Mers.
Luke Cantor.
Daniil Kaiser.
Emma Weiss.
Thomas Hugh.
Jake Webster.
Thomas Lind.
Thomas Sterling.
Delaney McCarthy.
Miles Alexander.
Justin Hardy.
David Christopher Makabata Weir.
Sabrina Lazon.
Hannah Tittle.
Adriel Walker.
Jarrah Alela.
Taya McGuire.
Sewon Kim.
Amrit Singh.
Truman Soleski.
Bear Hansen.
Andrew Barganda.
William Goff.
Jared Francisco San Agustin.
Owen Albert.
Carson Davey.
Lillian Mall.
Abby Torgler.
Lacey Schulke.
Alisa Aganuga.
Jasmine Nguyen.
Nicole Marr.
Kendall Smith.
Dilt Tiagarajan.
Kirsten Dierks.
Mariah Van Home.
Haley Barney.
Lawrence Huang.
Hannah Lukomsky.
Ezra Zimmerman.
Carly Mano.
Ben Cohen.
Grace Paulson.
Shonsei Hasaka.
Serena Kravonik.
Sydney Tokuhara.
Ricardo Eisen.
Shwenda Wu.
Linda Wang.
Miles Norris.
Ziling He.
Zoe Decker.
Vikram Termali.
Kenna Royce.
Avery Lashley.
Brielle Saido.
Jack Sadis.
Adrianea Redger.
Tristan McDevitt.
Aliona Vikolchik.
Nicholas Glubiak.
Bryn Breaker.
Clemente Varas.
Dylan McGregor.
Nicholas Carlson.
Itaj Verk.
Mitchell Martin.
Malia Begin.
Hannibal Gabriel Hewitt.
Ria Sanyu.
Jennifer Carmela Hardwick.
Jayu Lau.
Jacqueline Arut Murphy.
Chi Zheng.
Jordan Hoagland.
Angie Parker.
Lillian Elizabeth Miles.
Haley Clark.
Josh Chamberlain.
Lena J. Mohammed.
Alex Plateau.
Rumi Lee.
Bradley Cagle.
Amy Fuskova.
Max Feldmeyer.
Cameron Wong.
Garrison Glisson.
Kendron Youngwook Kim.
Sander Lush.
Thank you. Congrats. Dabin Kim.
Ben Douglas.
Sam Davis.
Nicholas Johnson.
Sophie Muja.
Savannah Beck.
Zoe Tucker.
Songni Vo.
Michael Bonner.
Taylor Spooner.
Julie San Garcia.
Michelle Camber.
Quinn Roach.
Stella Sonova.
Annalisa Morrison.
Sophia Kathleen Chalk.
Crystal Lay.
Calvin Wybrew.
Audrey Hebert.
Andrew Ellis.
Katana Louie.
Emery Burkhalter.
Shayla Van.
Skylar Pollock.
Richie Duong Munning.
Logan Fagey.
Amanda Hewitt.
Michelle Wu.
Vanessa Lucas.
Congratulations. Eric Fong.
Amanda Fortner.
Pedro Infante.
Jalen Fonseca Mendoza.
Michael Ulrich.
Mia Casera.
Jacqueline Liu.
Michelle Cardenas.
Jennifer Vo.
Shabangi Bansal.
Evan Paremba.
Thank you. Tasha Thacker.
Vincent Zhang.
Vatsa Katari.
Thomas Matthew.
Alex Rapetta.
Chloe Loney.
Jessica Irvine.
Caitlin Cheney.
Tim Radosevich.
Courtney Taylor.
Thank you. Congrats. Jack Popke.
Aiden Cuskelly.
Jake McCauley.
Itzel Nieto.
Andrew Kramer.
Kelsey Hay.
Griffin Tao.
Ross Heilweil.
William Hofer. Thank you.
Carolyn Gatlin.
Jack Winkworth.
Ellen Gu.
JT Ellis Josh.
Yuki Shi.
Emmett Kinch.
Wendy Wen.
Karanjo Chana.
Elun Lee.
Virtue Woods.
Jessica Wu.
Mika Akazuki.
Dunbo Lee.
Matthew Wong.
Bill Lee.
Thank you. Vivia Zhu.
Zahung He.
Chad Cohen. Thank you.
Tiangya Tang.
Colin Loney.
Lee Jen.
Henry Barliant.
Brian Chen.
Alex LaFleur.
Joseph Ray Dyer.
Mac Donahue.
Adrian Baldwin.
Jonathan Withram.
Leland Sevier.
Jonah Metalcats.
Miguel Urrutia.
Claire Kale.
Jack Hanstatt.
Kate Wheeler.
Kira Tisapius.
Isabella Wagner.
Zora Kings.
Mia Hyatt.
Amanda Short.
Lily Hagigi.
Megan Shu.
Jessica Mead.
Anna Shimoda.
Brendan Walsh.
Matilda Lee.
Eli Black Garcia.
Christina Fox.
Thank you. Michael Riley.
Stephanie Powell.
Grace Gallaudet.
Kyle Sang.
Kara Cunningham.
Renee Kang.
Ella DePietro.
Elizabeth Peck.
Sarah Meadows.
Jenny Sun.
Holly Streamer.
Haley Lee.
Paige Oman.
David Liu.
Joshua Dembowski.
Felicia Yan.
Davis Coates.
Amanda Nguyen.
Russell Morrison.
Gabby Katabihan.
Eric Katz. Congrats, Everett.
Karina Hazari.
Everett Buck.
Coleman Kochik.
Anthony Sullivan.
Ratul Jain.
Malika Darvish, right? Malika Darvish.
Ranveer Graywall.
Camden Caros.
Camille LeBond. LeBlond.
Casey Roque.
Emily Lade.
Camden Yu.
Sophia Way.
Laura Bresman.
Verna Wong.
Andrew Wong.
Hannah Prano.
Eddie LeBron Rainey.
Hannah Heller.
Congrats. Cole Seavey. Congrats.
Jonathan Suh.
Idan Hezroni.
Andrew Beck.
What's the first one? Dylan Novavaskoski.
Madeline Gim.
Josh Resbrick Lee.
Misa Lay.
Preston Magnanimous Brinley.
Ashley Vo.
Thanks. Dan Peterson.
Kevin Wynn.
Mac Chip Anderson.
Jesslyn Hollum.
Marilena Vasali. Thank you. Marilena Vasali.
Jason Chokro.
Courtney Burrow.
Michael Darren Kanadi.
Christina McMillan. Congrats.
Jasmine Laksama.
Ryan Suits.
Vanessa Victoria Subitro.
Trevor Jenks.
Brian Vargas.
Carter Menninger.
Edgar Soto Vargas.
JD Fuller.
Christine Wynn.
Chris Calkins.
Alfred Ern Mauricio Escorpiso.
Lindsay Lovestead.
Degi Ariambilag.
Gabriella Harness.
Johanna Shea.
Lauren Day. Congrats.
Just one. Tina Dang.
Olivia Crum.
Zaki Rahman.
Claire Pickering.
Rafe Ahmed.
Allison Carney.
Carling Evelyn Chu.
Liana Kajani.
Glory Yang.
Dada Dave.
Emily Chow.
Congrats. Natalia Villamir.
Vito Alexander.
Congrats. Nicole Fromm. Nicole, congrats.
Chaya Risky Nero.
Samuel Coe.
Michael Orlando.
Christopher Lamb.
Darren Katari Nunga.
Michelle Yang.
Brittany Sugiarto.
Sophia Pang.
Ubrevia Elutani. No. Sorry, everyone. Abrevia Eluthani Prehutana. Sorry, everyone.
Simran Sharma.
Daniel Tan.
Amy Law.
Brigitta Rai.
Thank you. Congrats. Kylie Maeda.
Maximilian Muliano.
Emily Reed.
Trent DeLucia.
Davis Castle.
Ryan Fitzgerald.
Ryan Trefney.
Trenton Arkley.
Thank you. Cohen Bonneman.
Stephen Chang.
Scarlett Nguyen.
Emily Shi.
Valerie C.
Katie Rylands.
Emily Soon Reed.
Zach Bonet.
Bonnie Ting.
Jacob Campbell.
Shruti Raj.
Christian Blazano.
Nancy Nguyen.
Grant Smith.
Zoe Zhao.
Landon Levitt.
Tien Shri.
Jessica Nugent.
Cheryl Lee.
Audrey Vida.
Smriti Sudeeb.
Ricardo Ruiz Cavillo.
Julie Fergus.
Visal Sharma.
Anson Xiao.
Logan Gendron.
Gary Nguyen.
Thomas Michael.
Roger Chen.
Sam Pelly.
Matt Jones.
Noah Francis Eric.
Kanoa Jandoff.
Carson Coe.
Andrew Tenzar.
Mei Chiang.
Thank you. Brock Blayhouse.
Okay. Darcy Crumblehome.
Bradley Oliver.
William Matsuno.
Kendall Jensen.
Diego Condit.
Kyle Cody.
Adrian Floyshaus.
Dominic Rana.
Jack Heffernan.
Guy Furland.
Owen Lowry.
Thank you. Nassine Erus.
Adam Lamb.
Rebecca Shao.
Max Shell.
Wen Shi Yang.
Chandler Kabakovich.
Wanping Lee.
Joshua Smith.
Key Christina Zhu.
Jessica Minkiewicz.
Mandy Wong.
Kelsey Burks.
Eleazar Chavez Rodriguez.
Clara Crowley.
Cameron Phipps.
Mackenzie Comerford.
Beth Mansell.
Anna Tierney.
Sophia Mace.
Brooks Lyerly.
Yasmin Barrera.
Christian Seiler.
Elena Top.
Michael Kowalczyk.
Thank you. Congrats. Miriam Osman.
Torin Dye.
Nia Nguyen.
Marcus Mesnick Green.
Tan Nguyen.
Ryan Carenti.
Keontre Shea.
Alexis Lovett.
Borshang Ju.
Kylie Thomas.
Ira Shi.
Claire Choi.
Daryl Uliento.
Spencer Montaneri.
Leonardo Edwin.
Crystal Kim.
Tracy Chang.
Kelly Gibbs.
Clarence Gobel.
Tally Golden.
Alessandra Tiara Janunoir.
Somia Magam.
Spring Marie Diandrin.
Madeline Chin.
Shu Ying Zheng.
Claire Mansfield.
Cassie Liu.
Sam Peckham.
Ricky Chow.
Justin Deal.
Emily Lee Conrad.
Austin Belois.
Yuna Chua.
Marin Bondo.
Kaiwen Lim.
Sabrina Mu.
Roy Wu.
Gabrielle Izagiri.
Jackson Yang.
Kimberly Chen.
Oh, Jaya Rivera.
Anne Lynn.
Amy Dong.
Megan Chen.
Taryn Lam.
Anne Tai.
Victoria Mimi Eng.
Philip Liu.
Nicholas Chinnavansa.
Francis Shu.
Natasha Lau.
Christy Lee.
Ashley Vong.
Cynthia Ye.
Alan Hachi Yu.
Zane Dunham.
Ashley Johan.
Salil Kanade.
Arabella Princess Cerezo Nadoy.
Jack Reichman.
Derek Boyd.
Soo-Young Lee.
Oscar Avatare.
Luisa Rosa Correa.
Richard Perry.
Bailey Kilpatrick.
Taylor Tran.
Rami Abu Safia.
Nat Nayel Tesfaye.
Benedict Suchu.
Natu Abraham.
Yang Lee.
Ivan Megistu.
Yui Lei.
Wintana Dawit.
Ni Dang.
Sophia Khan. Welcome back.
An Dang.
Vanessa Louis.
Natwin Wang Tran.
Molly Radaba.
Scarlett Wynn.
Olivia Ling.
Trace Neptune.
Zachary Costa.
Lolina Tang.
Welcome back. Aldrich Song.
Lei Lei.
Rena Nabale.
Monica Kelly.
Angelina Quo.
Alan Zoe.
Lius Anderson.
Kelly Chung.
Thank you. Welcome back. Devere Shavina.
Evelyn Lai.
Thank you. Audrey Chaco.
Ying Ho.
Samantha Alessia.
Nong Nin.
Nicholas Fabio Sawanto.
Pak Chu Fung.
Eugenia Natalia Wong.
Nathan Dorcas.
Welcome back. Gladys Loretta.
Jack Asamid.
Stacy Angelica Wijaya.
Nicole Wong.
Monica Hartano.
Manu Wong.
Lily Christensen.
Michelle Young.
Gladys Xiomara Malplica.
Rachel Sawamanan.
Congrats, welcome back. Carolina Robles Valencia.
Nishant Rajkumar.
Thank you. Evelyn Delgadillo Contreras.
Daniel Simic.
All right. Mikias Bakaru.
Kevin Reimer.
Ikai Shu.
Daniel Nursalam. EJ Velasco. Abby Tumbleson. Tumbleson. Christine Joy Manzano Adrada. Chei Bao. Roland Du. Kenji Lin. Leslie G. Duran. Dylan Jacobson. Lufan Hung. Alejandro Alvarez Rodriguez. Owen McCord. Lisa Marie Diaz. Santiago Rosas. Joseph Caron. Jack Simonson. Yes. Noah West. Kenny Kasperbauer. Caitlin Shelton. Connor Fredericks. Jennifer Chen. Johnny Liang. Ana Beatriz Alvarez. Jiaoming Pei. Zinan Zhang. Nathaniel Whitfler. Amara Lay. Michelle Lee. Hey, Cooper, congratulations. Cooper Wetchkin. Congratulations. Stephen Lee. Emily Calderon. Congratulations. Benjamin Vandehay. Say it again. Lingwen Feng. Yequen Young. Matthew Kellicott. Brian Ingley.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Congratulations to all of you. Grads, let's take a moment to thank family, friends, and supporters for making today possible. Okay. I got a captive audience here. How about, for old time's sake, just a little managerial accounting, huh? Yeah. Hey, do you remember your manufacturing inventory flow of costs? Yeah, well, please indulge this old professor for a second. When most of you arrived here, I used to, teasingly, refer to you as raw material. Okay? What I meant by that was you were raw material in the sense that you were ready to learn new ideas, ready to experience new challenges. And after a while, you were transferred into work in process, where our esteemed faculty then added doses of labor and overhead, with some of you requiring just a little bit more labor than others. Well, now I'm proud to say that I look at all of you as finished goods. Okay, that's a metaphor. As individuals poised to become the next generation of business leaders, no matter where you choose to journey. Look, all kidding aside, you are what we do. You are what we make. You are our product. We are so proud of you for that. And as our product, each of you bears what I call a special patina of purple and gold that comes from immersing yourself in the education and the opportunities that are a part of the Foster School experience. And with that, I ask all our graduates to participate in the ceremonial tradition of the turning of the tassel. Graduating seniors, please rise. Please move your tassel from the right side of your cap to the left, that's the debit, side of your cap. Congratulations. To say that I am proud of you is putting it mildly. My colleagues and I are honored to call you graduates and alumni. Now go out there and continue to do great things and make us proud. This brings us to the end of the celebration. I ask that all our guests remain seated until the recessional concludes. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful day, and go Huskies.
It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. There's a party going on right here. A dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate and party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. Come on now. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright, baby. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. Celebrate good times, come on. Celebrate good times, come on. It's a